You- Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for the Orns 10-minute take on Stoke nil, Watford 4. Win number one in the Slaven Village era at Watford. Yes, the Watford faithful were in full voice today at the Bet365, as they always are, win, lose, or draw. And today, a much needed win for Watford, a must win for Watford after the slide that they had. One win in their 7 previous championship games, and 1-1 now under Slaven Bilic, the brand new head coach at Watford Football Club. He is here now, and we must back him and back these players. And these players look like a completely different outfit than they did just 2 weeks ago at home against Sunderland, as this Watford side were a side that was confident, a side that was aggressive, a side that was positive, a side that knew how to pass the ball, how to move without the ball, how to move with the ball, how to move up and down the pitch and run into spaces. And they absolutely stamped themselves all over this game from the very start. Watford were much better than their opponents. It was no doubt about it. Having watched this game, you could not deny that, no matter who you are. And Stoke just poor all day long, really. Never really troubled Watford. There were a few moments in this game where they did. It was Watford, though, who made Stoke look poor. And Watford scored after just 12 minutes. It was Ismail Assar in that 12th minute heading home his third Watford goal of the season. It was a great cross from Hassan Kamara, who was the man of the match today, playing on his much favored left side, where he didn't really play nearly enough of under Rob Edwards. He was the man that got things going, and he was exemplary throughout this game, snapping into challenges, making great clearances, stopping the ball from being crossed in by Stoke players. He was all over the pitch, Hassan Kamara, his best game in a Watford shirt this season. And Watford's best performance, obviously, this season. They scored 4 times. They were great in both halves. They played their first game of complete football from start to finish. 2 good halves, a fine performance overall. Watford in that first half, speaking of 2 halves, should have got more than the 1 goal that they did get for the halftime break, because Watford should have got a goal again from Sarr. Just minutes later, he hit the post. Minutes after that, Ken Sema hit the post. But that would turn around for Ken Sema in the second half. Watford should have run out at half time as 3 or 4-0 winners. But of course, there are 2 halves of football to be played. And Watford still had to play the second half, knowing that Stoke would improve in the quality of their play. And Stoke did, for about 5 minutes, improve the level of their play. And they did start to make themselves a little bit better in this game in the second half. But I think the key part of Watford's win was not Watford's great performance. It was actually the substitution made by the head coach, Slaven Bilic, who decided to take off Espria and put on Imran Louza, who made his first appearance for Watford this season since being on the long injury layoff. A great welcome back to you, Imran Louza, and you were a very key reason why Watford won this game and at least went on to win the game comfortably. That is really what I should say, because once he came on, you just saw how different that midfield looked, how much more composed and settled they were, how much more orchestration was going on. And the loser is that kind of player who gives you orchestration, gives you patience, gives you a very settled look. His approach on the pitch is always very much forward thinking. He's a technical player. He's a very technical minded player. And he's also good at calming the possession down and taking the tone and the tempo of the possession to very different places when needed. And that's the nuance and the intangible that an Imran loser brings you if you are Watford. And he showed that with the way he calmed things down and he redressed the balance of that midfield just as Stoke began to impose themselves a little bit on the game. And once he did that, Watford continued to flow and flow better under the stewardship of Imran Luz. It was a masterstroke of a substitution, very timely by Slaven Bilic. It just completely redressed and turned around the balance and gave it back to Watford in that midfield and gave them the imprimatur and the impetus to push on and continued to score goals. And within a few minutes of that substitution, Watford did indeed get their second goal, and it was Ken Sema this time, the beneficiary. He certainly deserved it because he was outstanding, as well as were the whole side pretty much, especially players like Ken Sema, players like Hassan Kamara, and players like Keenan Davis. He too got his goal, his second in two, 2-in-2 for Keenan, as he scored a goal as well to make it Watford 3-0 leading. And then it was Watford 4-0 leading because it was the super sub, Fakun Bio, getting his third goal for Watford. And I did tell you that Fakun Bio would come good, and he has started to do that. And again, he is going to thrive now. I think under Bilic, he will score and continue to score. And as I had no doubt, even though Bio had missed some sitters early on in his Watford days, which was just a few weeks back now, a few months ago now, he is bang on form and he is continuing to score goals. And that is what I expected from Bio. And I was very confident that he would do that. And now he is. Watford then running out 4-0 winners against Stoke, but they really should have had about 3 or 4 more goals. If you look at this game, as I said already in the first half, I already told you that Watford should have had a 3 or 4-0 lead at the break. In the second half, Sierralta missed a point blank range sitter as a centre half. That's the kind of ball you want. It was right by his head. He powered it in just over the bar, though. That's where it ended up going. Should have been in the back of the net. That should have extended Watford's lead. Then there was later on a shot from Imran Loser. That should have gone in as well. It was right in front of goal. He had all the goal to aim at, and he just went the wrong side of the post with it, and he couldn't believe it himself. And that was another one. I mean, Watford had several other chances. Keenan Davis had a chance to add to the scoreline as well. He did get his goal, but he probably was disappointed not to have scored a second. It was that kind of a game. Watford should have run up the score here more than they did, but no complaints. What you saw today was a confident Watford side, very much a positive Watford side. And the difference is that they weren't happy to settle on a 1-0. So many times I've talked about this, how Watford over the seasons, particularly this season and in previous seasons, were just happy and comfortable to sit on a 1-0 lead and never push forward and consolidate that lead with additional goals. Today, it was a very different story. Watford continued to go for the second and the third and the fourth. And even in the second half, when they had the fourth goal, and then Joe Hungbo came on, another sub, and Dan Gosling came on, you saw the desire and the hunger for around this Watford side. They were very hungry, and you saw Hungbo get hungry himself, going down that right side, charging down there with energy and purpose and passion and intensity and skill. And he was not letting up. And nor was this Watford side. They continued to push forward even after a 4-0. They could have had, as I said, another couple of goals, came close a number of times. Ismaila Sarr was good today as well. And as I say, the whole team was good. Gaspar was particularly good as well in this game. His best game in a Watford shirt. This is the same team pretty much all of these players played 2 weeks ago. And I don't know, was it the international break that did it, or was it the new manager? Maybe it was a bit of both. I give full credit though to Slaven Bilic all kidding aside. Um, he has made a difference already. And of course, this isn't even where I think he wants them to go yet. There's more to come from this side, but obviously some tweaks have been made. Stoke were poor. Don't get me wrong. I'll say that again. They were horrible in this game, but again, Watford made them horrible. And what you saw today from Watford was confidence, positivity, aggression. They were snapping into challenges. They were making that challenge. They were diving on the floor to get that ball. And what they did a lot better in this game was a lot of ball pressure. You saw it, 2, 3, 4 Watford players swarming around Stoke players who were on the ball, swarming around them in close proximity. So there was really no escape. And they kept working and working, and they kept ball pressuring. They were doing a lot of good ball pressure, and that forced turnovers in the middle of the park. And then Watford were able to turn that around and head out the other side of the pitch and head toward goal. They did that a number of times in this game, especially in the second half, where they recycled possession after losing it and challenging Stoke, taking the ball from them and going down the opposite end of the pitch and going forward. That is the kind of Watford, that aggression, that confidence that we didn't see in the first 10 games under Rob Edwards in the championship. And now we have in just one game a stunning 4-0 win. It's the first time Watford scored 4 goals in a match since the game against Manchester United back in the Premier League last season, back in November the 20th of last year. and a great display away from home. Their first away win of the season, their best away win of the season since the 5-1 victory at Cardiff back in 2019. It was a special day for Watford today. Kept a clean sheet. The defense was stable. No real major mistakes or hiccups. Christian Cavacetti was the captain. Looked like he had everything organized and sorted at the back. I thought that they all worked together well at the back today. Sierralta looked very good as well defensively. And again, this is without Courtney Hawes, who was on the bench. He never even needed to be used. João Pedro was out injured, calf problem. Craig Cathcart had a hamstring injury or some kind of problem. Excuse me, it was a thigh strain for him and a hamstring problem for another player whose name I'm now just forgetting for some reason. But the point is that they had players out, and Watford was still able to be comfortable in this game. And really, as I say, should have had 2 or 3 more goals to add to their tally. But this is a resounding win for Watford. It will restore the confidence. They will continue to go on confidence as they have. They've done a very good job in this game. Something to be proud of, something to build on, but not get too happy. It's great to celebrate and by all means jump up and down. But there is a quick turnaround ahead for this coming Wednesday, and that will be the game we're looking for to see a consolidation of this fine result today against the Stoke side that had head coach Alex Neil wondering if he would get the sack. That was a performance that merited what it did today. Back in 7th place now, up 6 places up the table, 1 point off the playoffs, and the robust Watford faithful. Thank you to each and every one of the Watford fans who sang their hearts out at the Bet 365, who traveled up to Staffordshire to cheer the Watford on as they do each and every week. And you were rewarded with a fine performance. Their first complete performance of the season, and by far their best. A game where both halves were played very well by Watford players, and they looked great throughout the game. This has been the Orns 10-minute take.